So where do we work? We're basically scattered around the country. We have 2 fixed sites in Johannesburg that deal mainly with sex workers. And then we have 9 roadside wellness centers, which North Star, our sub-recipient, are actually overseeing, and we are overseeing with them. And then we also have 2 mobile clinics that are also based in Joburg, but we do utilize them in other provinces if need be. The roadside wellness centers, I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview on them. They basically refurbish containers which are established along the main trucking routes, the main trucking corridors around the north-south corridor of South Africa, and they're just at the hub of where truck drivers actually go and stop, especially here in KZN. We have it in Pongola and Zululand district, where there's that border between Swaziland is about 20 k's from the truck stop, and in Caterridge, where the truck drivers usually stop waiting for their load to come off at the port. So what we wanted to model in this, or what I want to express in this, is this is one of the models that can be used in poorly resourced areas where you refurbish these containers. They're efficient, they're compact, and they're easily established. You can just put everything together and put it somewhere where they need the resources, and it's worked very well, and they're very durable. This is another form of what we do. So we do a lot of outreach, and we're using the gazebos. So you'll see that a lot of our outreach is in busy truck stops, in busy areas where there's sex workers. And again, this is another of our sites in Johannesburg, Pomona, where we have the Roadside Wellness Center. And these are mobile clinics where we go to brothels and areas where are sex worker hotspots. Our current project contracts are mainly 3 major contracts that we at WITS are heading at the moment. This is the HIV Innovations, sponsored by or funded by USAID, where our sex worker project and male client projects are being funded for. We also have our Dreams project, which is also funded under USAID, and that's focusing on the adolescent girls and young women. And lastly, we have our peer educator outreach program, which is funded under Global Fund /NACOSA. The major highlights that I wanted to just bring forth to this group are the synergy between research and implementation that WITS and North Star have been able to achieve working with sex workers and truck drivers. Because essentially, though we're providing comprehensive primary health care, HIV and PrEP, and also STI screening and testing, there's this overall holistic healthcare that we're providing, but we need the data, we need the research to prove and show and actually help us make decisions on where to go next. And just lastly, I'll be just running over the PrEP demonstration, and I know Robin is going to go in depth later on, so I'm not going to try and steal her shine. So one of our major research breakthroughs, or what we feel like is a pioneering research, as you see, we've done quite a lot of research, especially with other organizations like UCSF. We've worked with Tim, and but our most recent one, which we're very excited about, which is coming out, is the truck driver survey, where we actually looked at 500 truck drivers that were stopping at our truck stops over a 3-month period, and we're just assessing the overall health of a truck driver. We're looking at their mental health, their physical health, and we're trying to prove or actually see what is the baseline of a truck driver who's doing long distance driving throughout South Africa and also the rest of Africa. This is what was happening day and night, rain or shine. There's no truck drivers stop usually in the evening at truck stops, and they're busy during the day. So a lot of the research was done overnight, and we had a dedicated staff, and it was quite a long and extensive process. Each truck driver was interviewed for about 2.5 hours. We took bloods, we did x-rays. It was quite an extensive process of investigation. Just a quick overview of PrEP, because North Star and WITS RHI are rolling out PrEP in KZN in the Zululand district in our Pongola clinic. And basically, the rest of the sites that are here, there's 8 sites that are rolling out PrEP and off PrEP, which means that it's because it's not something you're not sick, so you don't have to be on PrEP consistently, in the sense that if you are going back home and you're not actively doing sex work, you do not necessarily need to be on PrEP during that time. So people who cycle off on PrEP, we cannot necessarily say they've defaulted, but it's difficult to follow them up. And we're finding that there's about a 60 to 70% defaulting rate at the 2-month period of PrEP, and about 80% of those who default eventually become lost to follow-ups. That's just what we've observed at our sites, so I'm not sure what the other sites have been seeing thus far. And what the feedback from the ladies who are on PrEP is that they're not sure what it is, because it is a demonstration project. There is that element of, why is it only sex workers that are on PrEP, and why isn't it available in Department of Health facilities? Why is it NGOs? And also, is it like an experiment on sex workers? And if now you're taking, because PrEP is actually Truvada, so they know that it's a drug that is used in ARVs, or people that are HIV positive can use Truvada. So now there's that stigma attached that maybe to the family they'll think that they're HIV positive and they're hiding. So there's still a lot of misconceptions around PrEP that I feel is what we're trying to do in the groundwork to actually get that buy-in into it and actually get that uptake up. Oh, and also just another big thing is that because they're not sick, people are like, then why should I take it if I can use condoms? So there's a lot of barriers that we're trying to overcome, and yeah, Robin's going to go through that. So I'm not going to sort of bore you with the background of how we got PrEP going, but basically the major part of it was the mobilization. We needed to go out there, spread the word, educate people, and inform them that there is something called PrEP. What does it do? How can it help you? And essentially why it's, why it's useful and why you need to be on it, essentially. These are the activities that we did in terms of intensifying outreach, site mapping, and the capacitating peer educators. All right, basically that was what we did around PrEP.